from you guys? And now Jarrell and Leon, some of those guys, I mean, where are they at?
Well, like Leon's been practicing, but he won't go in the game. The other guys really haven't practiced, so they're out. So, Ed Wright's, could have played last week. We didn't. He was practicing well, doing really good this week, so he's good to go. Dusty, all those guys have been limited, done nothing, so they're kind of the guys that didn't finish their out right now, and would be, I'm assuming. I don't think anything's changing with Jarrell. Anything's changing with who else? Donnie. They haven't gotten work yet, and typically you go through all the schemes, the adjustments, the routes, even if they're kind of close, you miss all the work. You don't know what you're doing, so you're not playing anyway.
Has D'Angelo been back to 100% this week?
He's going. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he's 100% because I guess he's 100%. But I mean, he's okay. I mean, those guys kind of play in cycles, and one guy thinks he's good and has energy, and then one guy gets a little moody and disappointed and whatever. So he's okay. I mean, he's full go. But I mean, I think right now Steven's kind of got the initial harder hand. But as soon as that goes, anybody plays a good game here doesn't back it up the next week typically. So I guess Steven will be the next guy up. We'll go back to Perez or somebody.
Is there a thought if one of those guys can get consistent week to week that maybe they'd get the bulk of the carries, or you still want to maybe split it up?
Well, if we're not getting a lot of plays, I'd say yeah. If you start getting plays and rhythm and executing, then you probably got to play a couple to stay fresh. So typically, like Wisconsin's got two really good backs playing them both, and a lot of teams do that. A lot of pro teams do that. If you're executing, a lot of guys play a lot of D linemen, a lot of wear and tear. There's a lot of wear and tear on the running back. Everybody's chasing you, the pounding, the stress, the energy it takes to play. So a guy will fatigue. I would have loved to have gotten Steven the way he was kind of fighting for us a touchdown at the end of the last game on one of the drives. But he was so tired. We put Perez in. I think the play Trey ended up scoring himself, but it could have been the other guy. You'd like to reward it, the guy that did the work, but he looked tired. So we'll probably still be playing, at least two as you move forward. Three, maybe because they're really good, or you don't have a good one, or you're playing a lot. But ideally, I think you're going to want to play a couple backs most of the time.
So is Dusty the point you think he can play this week or not?
Keel?
Yeah.
He's not practiced at all, so no.
Okay.
Along the offensive line, shifting guys in position, shifting guys in and out of the lineup, how tough is it just to get a group out there that can play as a unit because there's been so much shift on?
What we're doing schematically is not over that hard. I mean, the center does the same as the right guard. Every once we might have a glitch where a guy goes wrong because he could be thinking backwards, thinking he's a left guard when he's a right, but that's seldom. Conceptually, the real issue there is just getting five guys to play good. And again, we've had a couple little nickups where some guys have played, maybe some other guys had to come into play. We've had some guys not play well, so you went to someone else. You don't want a revolving door, but again, I think you can play three guys inside at guard and three guys at tackle and rotate. Most good teams would have, maybe five solid, but a lot of really good teams have 6, 7, 8, and you're spare changing a guy like D tackle. So, the real deal is just a lack of strength, some youth, and just some kids, figuring out how to play hard, really.
I'm sorry, I was just going to ask you about the freshmen that have gotten a chance, Bernard and Colin and Peyton. Just how have you seen, their progress a few weeks into it?
Last game was the best game, and same time, though, we're playing a defense last week. Sometimes that, for Bernard, could leave them sometimes uncovered, sometimes covered up. So sometimes schematic lineups make your job a little easier or harder, or the matchup easier or harder. But the more those guys have played, I was a little disappointed in a rotation. We didn't get Peyton in against Penn State. They were a big guy. I know Coach wanted to play Justin a little bit more, but like Trey, we had played him. We got to get him going. We finally did last game. Same deal with Peyton. He's been playing. Both those guys were decent. Peyton's got his hands full. He was an inside center guard in high school. He's halfway close to being big enough to be a tackle, but he's still a bit young, a little bit undersized. It's not his natural position. Same time, that's just the best we got out there right now sometimes.
As a former offensive lineman, how much less do those guys get away with? Because exactly what they're kind of going through.
What now?
Since you are a former offensive lineman, if somebody comes to you and tries to give you an excuse for why they made a mistake on a play, are you a little more maybe in tune to those excuses? And
I'm not much on excuses.
Okay.
In terms of, and
I apologize for the obvious question.
Like for example, I made a comment today that Max Devin did something in practice. He ran a route and he got too deep, and I said, why? Like I said, it's because you're running so fast, you're big, it's called centrifugal force, and your momentum is carrying you. And so you're actually going fast enough, it's actually good, but there's laws of nature, and so there's reasons why, common sense why some things happen. So it's, and so I have some common sense approach about what's going on. Key deal when you got some younger linemen, they're thinking a little bit, and you're a little small, but the one thing they can do, we are in shape, is if you run off the ball, you create force. That creates power. And so it's getting our guys that are a little youthful, a little inexperienced, maybe playing different positions, to have the confidence to come off with velocity, with speed. Because as you create momentum, then you do actually block better. When you're a little unsure, playing a new position, got an excuse in your mind, you're rationalizing in your mind, you're trying not to mess up in your mind. You got a lot of things going on that doesn't allow you to play fast. You typically don't play good. And as a coach, it's like one of my comments that I've actually finally got some of our coaches, I go, ask him what he's thinking, because you'll be surprised what they say. Like, what are you thinking? And then, because sometimes it's trying to get a guy to unclutter his mind, and this is all you need to think about. Quit worrying about this, quit thinking that. It's like a golfer that gets, it's over analytical. Mm-hmm. And so with some of the young guys, with some guys playing different positions, some guys that are trying toward it, you get a little too mechanical, a little too mental, and you don't play fast. And that's when I'm seeing things in practice, when it's not stressful. Look, that's better. I want to see that in games. I don't see that yet. And that's the trust deal we got to fight our way through as we've got a great challenge this week.
Are they where you expect them to be? I mean, like when you're dealing with those freshman guys, I mean, are they making the kind of progress that you're expecting? Are
they're
they
doing
still
good.
where? Yeah.
I mean, they're doing good. I mean, they mess up, and we're still, needing some maturity physically and confidence-wise. But the more you play, the better you get. You don't learn from osmosis, so those guys are getting action. And the more they go, the better they do. It's really nice to see Trey, who's played so little, have a calmness about him, because that's been one of the concerns early. Would he go out there and be nervous and in a close game make a critical mistake and even haunt you more? And so that was kind of nice to see. But for the most part, we're still teaching those receivers. Shane actually hit a kickoff return fast the other day. And there was a couple blocks, and he hit it fast, and all of a sudden there was a crease. It was really his change of speed made the play in 2 blocks. It wasn't like it was an earth-shattering deal, but all of a sudden, the more he's played, the more comfortable he's getting. So, you got to play through some of that, and that's a good deal with the young guys. That's a bad deal, but you just keep playing through it. Again, the main reason some of those young guys are playing, and I don't think some guys have gotten it, I didn't recruit most of those guys. So I'm not down on the old guys, just those guys right now are doing the best and giving the most, and they deserve to go.
In terms of Trey, I mean, do you see a change from him this week because he got some of that extended time last week? Is the game slowing down for him a little bit more?
Well, I don't know if it'll. When you're going against scout teams, different. It always is a lot slower on practice field. That's what I'm saying. I see things in practice field when we're calmer that needs to transfer to games. So it was just nice. He's played a bunch of ball. Of course, this will be a phenomenal deal for him going up there and allow plays. Good team. Now do you play with outside your comfort level, confidence level? Last week he was really good.
How do you
We'll
guys,
see. I don't know practice-wise. He's not been that bad. He's had a couple weeks in practice where he didn't communicate well. Just mentally glitched, and maybe because he's sitting there saying, "Well, is he playing? Is he playing?" Mentally, where was he in the mode? Now that he could play a little bit more, he's probably mentally more in tune, thinking, "Hey, I am going to go." So maybe he's a little mentally sharper with just concentration during practice. But for the game to slow, should it be a year plus 2 years for that game slows?
how do you guys plan to use Trey, Ned, against Wisconsin?
Hopefully in a good way. Get first downs, get touchdowns, winning the game. That is the plan. So, we not had one game after first drive. So and so's in after 2 drives. You got this quarter. You got that quarter. Ed was playing well. Got hurt. Trey came in and played well. You got confidence. You think both of them can do. But again, they will do well against a very good team if we can block and get a run game and play fast at receiver. And the complementing parts, if we put them out there by themselves, their quarterback's a really good player, but he's playing with a lot of help. Good running game, good line play, guys one-on-one, really good player, and he's looking good. Well, everything around him is too. Right. That's a sign of a great team. So, both those guys, you got confidence. We don't change the offense. We're just kind of running our plays. They're both pretty good. I say good. They're both good for young players, but they're a long way from what we want, what they can be.
How do you guys simulate Wisconsin's size and strength on the offensive line with the scout team, or can you?
Yeah, can't. We actually did a little bit more of good on good work.
Okay.
So there was some where we did some ones-on-ones or even ones against twos a little bit more than normal, just for speed of routes, good throws, good blocking bigger guys. But again, even our starters not the size of those cats right now. Anything else?
It sounds like you guys haven't really talked too much about or even thrown out the idea of 83-20, I guess. Do you try to avoid even talking about last year at all, or is that something you can use as motivation, or do you just avoid all discussion?
No, to me, the motivation is you're playing one of the better teams, in the country. One of the teams that's had a great run in our league, and a team I think that does things, in a good way. They play strong, they play hard, they take care of the ball, they run it great. Their personnel might be different than ours right now, but there's a lot of fundamentally, they're a really good program. And I say that because fundamentally, they got all these 22 all-academic guys. So if you can go to the Rose Bowl and win a championship and put a ring on and still be all-academic Big Ten, that means you got good kids, good people. So I'm just impressed with across the board how they do it. And they might have had a good game last year, and they can have a good one this year. I get excited about playing good teams, and I think it's a great opportunity. You know, to me, you want to play those games. No disrespect to any opponents we've played in past or future, but to me, as a competitor, the bigger the game, the bigger the opponent, the more excited you ought to be. And not hoping, you know, or not let's just go see. I mean, no, let's go against somebody that's really good and give it our best and really see what we got. Because the one thing we got going for us, we have not come close to giving our best. And that's again, from what I see, from what I've seen our guys be able to do, but yet doing on Saturdays, we haven't come close. Get better and all of that stuff, yes. But we could play so much better short term. That's bad coaching. That's bad planning on our part. That's our players' lack of trust to transfer it over. And we're going to work on that. So I'm more into the excitement of going and playing a great game on the tube, great environment against a team, and let's roll it up and let's go play. And it is. And at the end, the score says what it is, and we'll know where we are, and we'll keep moving forward from there. So I've just tried to embrace the opportunity. This is what you do. This is why you come to the Big Ten. And we got guys that need to get to the point of, I don't want a Big Ten scholarship. I want to play and win the Big Ten. You know, I'm not just happy to be here. I want to do what it takes to be a winning team, a winning player. And that game comes down to one-on-one. So I've got everybody come back and look at you and your guy. And let's match up on your guy. Let's don't match up on Wisconsin. You and your guy, let's play ball against your guy one-on-one. Do the best we can today. That's been our approach this week. It'll be a great challenge. It'll be hard. It'll be fun. Good.
Thanks.